Chase Hooper versus Viacheslav Borshchev.
I
High
love
school
both these
will.
guys. Slavis Claus, Chase Hooper. Chase Hooper's so sick, dude.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if you were to tell me, like we had just started, talking, hanging out, whatever, and you're like, dude, yeah, Brian and Chase are my brothers, I'd be like, yeah,
Yeah.
I could see it. I could
Yeah.
see it.
I mean, we look, especially, I mean, when I was younger, we looked identical.
Again, high
It's
school
pretty
will.
crazy. Yeah. But Slavis Claus, that's your boy, probably because he's a team alpha male, but also because he's very fun. He's a fun striker. This is like,
International alpha male.
yeah. Hey, they got Slavis Claus. They got, what's her name?
Hangedon.
They got
Yan
Yan
Chanon.
Shannon. Yeah.
You
They're
name it.
worldwide now.
Worldwide.
Prestige. Um, but yeah, striker versus grappler, jiu-jitsu guy, Chase Hooper,
Striker
kickboxer,
versus
Slavis Claus.
striker, maybe?
Well, here's the thing. We talked about who did we just talk about? Adding things to their game. Buckley.
Buckley.
Adding the takedown because his dipping style is it's perfect. Chase Hooper, and we never get to see this. The heavy jiu-jitsu guys that, or girls, Mackenzie Dern, Brian Ortega to a lesser extent, but a lot of these like super jiu-jitsu world-class guys, they like add the wrong things. They get Bangkok ready with their striking. They fall in love with it. What they really should be doing is drilling takedowns and wrestling because they can't just, their jiu-jitsu is not going to work to get, at this point, MMA has evolved so much. You're not going to get easy takedowns on people, and jiu-jitsu trips aren't going to work in real fights these days. And they can't get it to the ground, so they're stuck standing, and they're trying to swing for the fences like Mackenzie Dern, running at you, all this stuff. Chase Hooper, and this sounds so simple. Sorry, I hit my mic. This sounds so simple, but it's much harder in practice. If I'm fighting you and you're the striker and I'm the jiu-jitsu guy, the one thing you're thinking of is don't let this guy take me down because I beat him on the feet. That's as simple as your game plan needs to be, right? Chase Hooper says, look, I know Slavis Claus is going to be early on the sprawls, early on the takedown defense because he wants to keep this standing. So he drops like he's going to shoot, feints the takedown, throws the overhand. This is him dipping right here. Slavis Claus at this point is like, oh shit, he's going to shoot on me. I have to defend
down
this.
a little bit. Yeah,
I have to defend this. And instead, he's like, nope. Check this left hand, dude. It was beautiful. Feinting the takedowns to throw your overhand is a textbook basics wrestlers in MMA 101. Every single wrestler, Michael Chandler, Dan Henderson, you name it, Josh Emmett, every single wrestler has a nasty overhand. Even they called it the eagle punch with Khabib because you dip down and you go, oh shit, Khabib's taking me down, and then you jump back up, hit you with that overhand. It's the classic combo. Yeah, the classic combo. Because the next time they're like, oh shit, is he dipping or is he throwing that overhand? I gotta watch my head, and he's on your legs. It's perfect. It's the perfect move. Chase Hooper, with 15 seconds into the fight, lands it perfectly on Slavis Claus and drops him. And I was like, this is someone who is actively learning the right things, and not just learning them, but implementing them. And you love to see it from a guy who I thought we might have already seen his ceiling based off of his most recent fights. Outside of the Jordan Levitt one.
23?
I think he's 24 now.
24?
But, yeah. I mean, this was just a masterclass from Chase Hooper, dude. Because then in the next, he drops him, he jumps on him. Fantastic grappling. There's no way Slavis Claus is fighting off the grappling of Chase Hooper. He batters him on the ground. He has this massive knot on the top of his head. Did you see that?
Yes.
It's massive. It was crazy. And then the second round, he immediately shoots on that double leg, and he gets it because Borshchev has to think, is he throwing the overhand or is this an actual takedown? And he gets on the hips quickly. And that's the hardest part for jiu-jitsu players in MMA, is getting to the hips on double legs or single legs, because they just don't have that natural shoot in them, But Chase Hooper has added that. Maybe it's because he's been training with Ben Askren. I know he doesn't do that as much anymore, but these are the things that you want to see these jiu-jitsu guys add to their game, and to see it in practice is so cool.
And sometimes you watch a fighter and there's just this one fight there's just one fight where you're like, I see things clicking now. Like I feel like
Yeah.
they're putting more things together. And then after that fight, it's off to the races, and you just kind of see the progression increase after
Yeah.
every fight, right? So I think this was the fight for Chase Hooper. I think this is
Mhm.
the one where you see like, okay, we're starting to put some things together. This guy is gonna be a serious
Yeah.
contender. He's at 14-3-1 now. He's only 24 years old. He's still
Yeah.
getting stronger. He's still learning.
You know what
Dude,
he posted?
it was a masterclass.
Or I don't know if he posted it or if he said it on Ariel's show, but he was like, um, Max Holloway started his UFC career 3-3. Uh, Charles Oliveira started his UFC career 5-5. He's like, it doesn't bother me whatsoever what's happened in the past, future. It's like
What a
this guy
good
gets
head
it,
on his
dude.
shoulders, dude. Good
Yeah.
head on his shoulders. I
And
like
look,
that.
I
That's
know Ben Askren's
a
like a
perfect way to
meme
look at it.
fighter now because of what happened when he came to the UFC, but he's smart. Ben Askren is very smart. I mean, what he was doing in one and what he was doing outside of the UFC is no joke. Like the guy understands the game. He just didn't have the results in the UFC because let's be real, when one traded him for Demetrius Johnson, it wasn't prime Ben Askren. It
Yeah.
was, I mean, the guy had a hip replacement 2 fights into his UFC run. Like, you know what I mean? But the guy's he knows what he's doing, and I'm sure the time with Chase Hooper has rubbed off on him. And I'm not saying that's all Ben Askren, but Chase Hooper understands the game, dude. He really does. And then he gets that Darce choke. Look at this.
Mm-hmm. Inverted
Brutal.
triangle attempt earlier too, which looked tight at the
Yeah.
end of the first round.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of things, man, and he just it was so weird. And this is gonna be like a random reference, but I can't think of anything else. But you remember, like, you ever watch Aladdin, the cartoon?
It's been so long, dude.
Well, dude, there's
I
this
might not
part
get
where
this
like he
reference.
first discovers the magic carpet, and like as he moves around, no matter what he's doing, like the magic carpet's just like wrapping around his body, like no matter what movement he's making, right?
Ah, yeah, yeah. I get
And
it. I don't remember it, but I
everything
get it.
that Borshchev did, it didn't matter what position
Yeah,
he ended up
dude.
getting, how he scrambled.
Because he was doing the right
Chase,
things.
he was, but Chase just did such a perfect job of just ending up in the right position at the right time, taking whatever Borshchev
Yeah.
was giving him to end up in a dominant position. It was position over submission. Dude, there's just so many things about it. There's this one where Borshchev, gets on all fours, like it looks like he's about to get out, and then he kind of gets him like in a headlock position, sprawls out to pull Borshchev back down, and as Borshchev is like sitting up, he just pushes
Mhm.
him back and folds right over him and gets back into a mount position. Like everything he was
Yeah.
doing. If I'm Borshchev, I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
what do I do?
Yeah. I mean, that's grappling in a nutshell. At the highest level, it's when two grapple, and Borshchev has been working on his grappling. Clearly, he has been.
He's an
He
alpha
can't
male.
defend it. He can't defend a takedown. But when he's on the ground, he's been doing the right things lately. But one of the things, and they say that even just with like, if you can look at it, grappling as a whole, or you can look at specific things like attacking on a choke or attacking on a submission. When you start chaining things and chaining attacks, it's like you might defend the first choke attempt, you might defend the second one, you might defend the third one, but that fourth one's probably getting in, and
Yeah.
that's it's the same with grappling as a whole. Whereas like you try this sweep, you go to your knees to get up, you give up your back, then you try to turn it on, like you try to do all these things and you hit them all correctly. But a guy like Chase Hooper knows that chain. He knows what's next. Oh, he's about to turn into me. I'll give up the back and I'll go to full mount. Things like that. Like he never made the mistake of trying to keep the back and getting rolled over and then losing the position. Instead, he's like, I'm ditching this to go to here where I'm still dominant. Every single time he made the right call. What did
So
you
good,
think
man.
about the submission? Because he got the Darce. Slavis Claus
It,
reaches
it
back
looked
like
like
this,
a
like, oh,
tap,
and then he smacks him. Bam. And then that was it. And then he complained. He smacked him. I think,
right
bam.
there.
Look, and they called it. Keith Peterson, I think it was, called it, which is the right call from the ref because
Yes.
you can't just do one smack on the back like that. I think Borshchev was trying to reach for something to get leverage, and he thought he was going to land somewhere, and he didn't land there, and he was like, "Oh, let me switch." So he let go real quick. I don't think it was a Brazilian tap. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's a Brazilian tap." I don't think so. But
Brazilian tap. I love that.
well, yeah, I mean that's the classic. A lot of Brazilians have done a quick tap,
Hey,
and then the
dude.
guy they're wrestling is like, "Oh, he tapped. Let me let go of the submission." And he's like, "That wasn't a tap. I just moved my hand in a weird way." And then they're like, "No, I didn't tap. Tap's multiple." So there's a weird thing there that happens. It happened to Fabricio Verdum, the guy that just knocked out Ryan Bader did that to Verdum in PFL. Verdum had him in a submission. He did a tap real quick one, and then Verdum let go. And then he's like, I didn't tap. And then they kept the fight going, and it was like a whole deal. It happens. I don't think this was that. I think he was reaching for something, and he landed somewhere where he didn't think he was going to land with his hand. So he pulled it off to reach for the thing he was reaching for. And then Keith Peters was like, no, you can't do that as a tap, which also is the right call. Also, he wasn't getting out of that.
Yeah.
100%.
100%. All right.
That's it. But Chase Hooper, fantastic job just showcasing that he's still growing and he has not hit his ceiling, which is cool because I like him.
Hey everybody, Ramiro and Will here. Thank you so much for watching that short clip. It's just a small clip of what we covered this last Sunday.
Yeah, if you want to check out the full fight card recap, the link is in the description, and it's going to be on screen at the end here. Don't forget to go back and watch our fighter interviews that we have. And don't forget to tune in live every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, and you can join in on the fun.
Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It goes a long way. All right, everybody, thanks for watching that short clip from Story of the Fight.